Where the majority of JBL's newer speakers have subtle differences underneath the hood, like the JBL Flip 4 to the JBL Flip 5, the new JBL Pulse 4 is completely different from the JBL Pulse 3. It has a completely different design and completely different speaker setup compared to the JBL Pulse 3. And overall, yeah, the Pulse 4 does outperform the Pulse 3. But I don't think you need to run out an upgrade if you already have the Pulse 3. Just like before, the Pulse 4 retails for $200, the same as the Pulse 3 when it first came out, which means the Pulse 3 is going to be going on sale now. And for comparison, the Pulse 4 is $50 more than the JBL Charge 4. If you want to pick any of these speakers up, they'll be linked down below. Now, first off, let's talk about the Pulse 4's new design, because in all honesty, this thing looks amazing when it's both off and turned on. The Pulse 4 is slightly bigger than the JBL Pulse 2, but it's smaller than the Pulse 3. But the first thing that took me by surprise when I first unboxed this speaker is just how dense it is. The Pulse 4 weighs in at a hefty 2.7 pounds compared to the Pulse 3, which weighs in at 2.1 pounds, and that's partly because the Pulse 4 has a slightly bigger battery than the Pulse 3. But more importantly, like the Pulse 3, the Pulse 4 has a mostly acrylic body, but obviously there's no fabric mesh on the bottom like on the Pulse 3 this time around. So the Pulse 4's new design just gives off the illusion of having this light feature suspended in midair that's visible in every direction. Now, obviously, the light features on the Pulse 3 and Pulse 4 are their biggest selling points, and the Pulse 4 has a few different lighting modes to choose from. You can either cycle through them directly from the speaker, or you can use JBL's app and even customize it a little bit. But what I did notice is that the Pulse 4 doesn't have as many lighting modes as the Pulse 3. But I'm willing to bet JBL will be adding more lighting modes through software updates, and if not, they should. But regardless, I do want to point out a few drawbacks of the light features on both of these speakers. Even though the Pulse 4 looks amazing at night or in your bedroom, when used in direct sunlight, the light features on both of these speakers is basically pointless. And also, the light features on both of these speakers is a drain on their battery lives. JBL claims the Pulse 4 has an advertised battery life of 12 hours, but real-world use with the volume set at 80% and with the light features set to medium-high, I'm getting more like 6 hours of battery life. So, like the Pulse 3, the Pulse 4 is going to live mostly on the charger. But this time around, the Pulse 4 charges via a USB-C port, which means if you're an Android user, you can charge your phone and speaker with the same cable. But it is important to point out that this USB-C port can only be used to charge the speaker. You can't use it as a wired connection, and you can't use it to charge your own devices. And unfortunately, the Pulse 4 doesn't have an audio jack, just like the Flip 5. Now, I was under the impression that it did, because their website says that it does have one, but it doesn't. Personally, I don't mind that there isn't an audio jack, but I do feel that a speaker of this size should still come with one. But now I do want to touch on durability on the Pulse 4. Now, JBL claims that this speaker is IPX7 rated, meaning that it should have no problem getting a little wet or submerged in a meter of water for 30 minutes. That's what IPX7 means. But after submerging my Pulse 4 in a pool of water for a few seconds, this speaker now has water damage. The buttons up top don't work accurately, the speaker will randomly shut itself off and reset itself, and you can even see there's a little bit of water trapped inside, and as you can see, this guy just randomly shut off right now. Now, seeing my Pulse 4 suffer from water damage did come to as a surprise to me, because I've never had any other issues with my other JBL speakers when they got wet. But on the bright side, this did give me the opportunity to see how JBL's customer support would handle this situation. And in short, JBL's customer support handled it very well. It was very easy to get a hold of an actual human, and when I told them, hey, your waterproof speaker has suffered from water damage, they said that's not a problem at all. We can either refund you the money or get you a replacement. So right now, I'm obviously going to get the speaker replaced. Now to JBL, I was just a regular customer trying to get a broken speaker replaced because I used a separate email from my business email. So I like to think that they're not just giving me special treatment. But overall, what I'm trying to get at here is that this speaker is better suited to be mostly used at home or in your dorm room. I don't recommend that you take it on the go with you because its acrylic top does get scratched and dented very easily. And even though JBL claims that this speaker is waterproof, from my experience, I don't recommend that you get it wet. But if it does suffer from water damage, it's very easy to get a hold of a JBL and get a replacement. But with all of that out of the way, let's get into speaker setups just because it's very different from the Pulse 3 and Pulse 2. The JBL Pulse 2 is a normal frontward firing speaker that shoots music out the front through its dual 45mm diameter transducers and dual pass radiators that shoot out the top and out the bottom of the speaker. The Pulse 3 is a 360-degree speaker that has three 40mm diameter transducers all housed in the fabric portion of the speaker and dual passive radiators on the top and bottom. And thanks to the Pulse 3's triple transducer setup, it legitimately evenly blankets a 360-degree area with music, whether used indoors or outdoors. Whereas the Pulse 4 has a single upward-firing 57mm diameter transducer at the top of the speaker and a single passive radiator shooting out the bottom of the speaker. Technically, the Pulse 4 is also a 360-degree speaker, but if you want to get the best sound out of it, then you're better off using it indoors where the sound can bounce off the ceiling. Because the 360-degree effect isn't as dramatic on the Pulse 4 compared to the Pulse 3 when used outdoors. But overall, the Pulse 4 does sound better than the Pulse 3. So we're going to jump into a sound test. Just so that you know, this sound test was performed before the Pulse 4 suffered any water damage.
You just walk right out the door. Don't wanna do this anymore. Now I'm lost without you. You drive me crazy out my mind. How'd you do this every time? Now I'm lost without you. You still be the one I talk to when I'm sad. Can't you see now tainted love is all we have? Our issues run so deep, now when I try to sleep I feel so bad. I should leave and by the time it's done I'll be gone.
So, when used indoors, yeah, the Pulse 4 sounds better than the Pulse 3. Specifically, the Pulse 4 has better clarity than the Pulse 3, and it also has noticeably more bass, which honestly was a surprise to me because the Pulse 4 has a single passive radiator that's the same size as the passive radiator found on the Flip 5. But definitely, the mids and vocals are much more pronounced on the Pulse 4 than on the Pulse 3, which I personally really like. Now, when it comes to max volume, the Pulse 4 and Pulse 3 are pretty much neck and neck. But since the mids on the Pulse 4 are more pronounced, the Pulse 4 does give off the perception of sounding louder. Now, for the curious people who may be wondering, what happens if you were to place the speaker upside down? Will it improve its sound quality or 360-degree sound effect?
You drive me crazy out my mind. How'd you do this every time? Now I'm lost without you.
No, it doesn't. The Pulse 4 is obviously designed to be used right side up, but honestly, I did have the same questions. Now, when it comes to controlling your music playback, one of the smaller changes that I really like on the Pulse 4 is that its control buttons are now textured, so they're much easier to find this time around. Obviously, you can adjust the volume and skip through your music, but when it comes to Bluetooth connectivity, the speaker is still using Bluetooth 4.2. It can be connected to two devices at the same time, so you and a friend can both be DJ. And just like all other JBL speakers, the Pulse 4 only supports SBC. Unfortunately, there still isn't AAC or aptX support. But finally, let's talk about speaker pairing protocols. Just like the Flip 5, the Pulse 4 now has Party Boost. You literally just press one button on each speaker and they'll pair themselves together. You don't gotta open up any other apps, and it just works. And if you were to have two Pulse 4s, you can have them play in left and right stereo mode. But unfortunately, since the Pulse 4 uses Party Boost, you can't pair the Pulse 4 to older JBL speakers using JBL Connect Plus. Now, JBL Connect Plus is currently found on the Pulse 3, Charge 3, Charge 4, Flip 4, Extreme 2, and JBL Boombox. So for right now, you can only pair the Pulse 4 to another Pulse 4 or to a Flip 5. But as JBL announces newer speakers, they'll obviously come with Party Boost. Although it does suck that Party Boost isn't compatible with JBL Connect Plus, Party Boost does have better range and a stronger wireless connection between two speakers, resulting in less signal drops when used in a house with multiple walls or when your speakers are far away from one another. So overall, with all that being said, I think the JBL Pulse 4 is a great at-home or dorm room speaker. It's literally going to light up your room. But I do want to drive home that the Pulse 4 is better suited as an at-home or dorm room speaker because it's not all that durable, it's constantly going to need charging, and if you want to get the best sound out of it, you should use it indoors where its music can bounce off of your walls. Now, yeah, the Pulse 4 will get the job done when used outdoors, but it doesn't do a good of a job as the Pulse 3 and its triple transducer setup. But if you're in between getting the Pulse 3 and Pulse 4, I do recommend you go with the Pulse 4 because it sounds better and it is future-proof for the time being. It uses USB-C charging and you have the option of pairing it with future JBL speakers that come equipped with Party Boost. But if you currently have a Pulse 3, you don't need to rush out an upgrade. If you made it this far, I guess you enjoyed the video, so hit that like button and get subscribed. It helps out more than you realize. If you want to pick any other products up mentioned in this video, those will be linked in the description down below, and you can also support the channel by checking out the merch store. But other than that, I'll catch you next time.